Okay, so the last story you guys should have heard was the one about the girl I named Sakura. Well, this one is about a girl we're gonna name, let's go Tally. Okay, so this story takes place after the events of Sakura. Now, the period between these two girls are a blur because this happened during a rather busy time for me, alright? So, anyways, this was shortly before I moved out of my mom's house into a house with my childhood friends, which I will make a video about later. So, at this point, I had been in a few more disappointing online relationships between Sakura and Tally. Now, nothing heartbreaking, nothing major, but enough to get you down, you know what I'm saying? So in this time, my boy P started inviting me to go hang out with the guys, you know, more and more. This was before I started doing YouTube, so I was like, yo, fluff it, you know, if I got free time and you invite me out, I'm going. And yeah, I went just about every time they invited me. Now, P at the time was dating this shawty from Waycross, which was an event in its own. He should cover when he starts posting videos. But this friend of his girlfriend, his at the time girlfriend, is Tally. And Tally became a part of the group and whatnot. And at this point, I missed a few hangouts for one reason or another, but P and the gang bring me up every so often, and you know, when you hear high praise about someone, you kind of want to meet them. You want to see what all the hype is about. And eventually I hung out with everyone and whatnot, you know, Tally was there, and after that, word on the street was Tally grew to like me and whatnot. So now at this point, I am damaged goods and I'm super skeptical. So when they say that, you know, when the street talk gets to me, I'm like, alright, cool, but it's just a phase, cause you know, she's single and I'm the first thing in sight. At this point in time, you know, girls who wanted me for looks were automatic red flag, because although I am not ugly, I'm not hot. So if you only like me because you think I'm cute, there's a lot of other cuter guys out there, and you know how that goes, man. You know how that goes. But after a week or so, the streets were still saying like, yo, Tally liked me and had some interest, you know. And P asked me would I date her, and look, Tally is a good looking girl, okay? If we had to rate her out of 10, if we go in general, I would rate her about a 4 out of 10. She definitely looks better than 4 out of 10 girls no matter where she is. In my area where I live at, she's a 5.5. But Tally is like a bigger girl. She's not fat, she's thick, you know, not the new age thick where anything with an ass means you're thick. I mean old school thick. I'm talking like, you know, she got a little gut, but everything else is bigger than the gut type beat. So if you compare her to bigger women, she's definitely an 8. And you're probably like, well, that's a very deep comparison. But look, women come in all shapes and sizes, shapes and faces, so you gotta categorize. Anyways, so P asked me would I date her and how I felt about dating, and I was like, look, I'm not in the mind state to date, because you know, I'd be in a relationship for one reason, and I don't back out of relationships. If I date you, I'm there until you don't want me no more. That's just how it is, like a loyal to the last second, okay? And you know, and whatnot. And he's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, well, he's gonna relay that to her, and you know, and I was lonely at the time, so of course I had those thoughts like, damn bro, you blew it. Maybe I should date her, you know, or at least try to get laid, right? And well, if the story ended there, this wouldn't be a video. So somehow, some way, I ended up getting her Snapchat. At this point, the gang is literally like pressuring us and pushing us to date, right? Off camera, P is playing Wingman of the Year. Like, he is really trying to get these assist points. Like, I'm not shooting the shot, so he's yelling at me to pass it so he can shoot it, right? And he's telling me like, hey, yo, Tally is really feeling you, yo, and she's asking you about you, yada yada. Now, at the time, look, I'm a lonely virgin, so like one night I'm like, let's get this rolling. And you know, I hit her up and spark up a little chat, and this was super basic and whatnot, but my parents were gone for the weekend, so I wanted her to come over, and I was open to smashing, but I made a rule, and I promised myself after I got stood up by this other girl that y'all might hear about if I remember more details about that story, that I would never smash on the first date. And so I wasn't going for it, but if it were if it was offered, I wasn't gonna say no. But she ended up not being able to come over for one reason or another, and I was like, okay, whatever. And I tried to chat, and we did chat for a little bit, but then I got left on red. Cool, whatever. So the next day, I'm like, good morning, and I tried to chat, this, that, and the third, and it took her a while to respond, but she did. Then after that, she left me on red, and at this point, I'm like, I'm gonna wait for her to hit me up, and she never did. Now, this was to be expected, so it didn't bother me at first, but after a few nights, started to get to me like, damn, how did I mess this up? Was this my only shot at a girl, because these chances don't come often for I, and just blaming myself for being lonely and stuff like that, this is normal for me at the time, so I just kind of kept it pushing, which, if you're in this kind of situation, you shouldn't blame yourself, bro. If an opportunity comes and goes, if you miss out, it is what it is, bro. There's gonna be another one. Don't stress about it. Just worry about yourself. Worry about the shit you can't control. You can't make nobody like you. You can't make nobody love you. You can control yourself. You can keep yourself with good hygiene. You can make sure you're balling every day, this, that, and the third, to keep your mood up. But anyways, so fast forward, me and the boys move out, and we were supposed to have our boy move in, but he unfortunately didn't get a job in time, so we couldn't let him because he wasn't gonna be able to pay the bills. So there was 4 of us chilling for a few weeks, but then Tally had a home situation going on, right? And she crashed with us and decided to move in, to make a long story short, right? And this bugged me at first because now, of course, I want Tally to be in a good living situation and whatnot. You don't want anybody to be in a bad home situation. But I wasn't ready to live with a girl, let alone a girl that I found attractive, right? Hell, I wasn't even ready to live with a girl in general with that mind state that I had, right? The one that I stated earlier. Anyways, so also, like, she softcore rejected me less than a month ago, and now I have to live with her? Like, I knew this was gonna fuck with me. Anyway, so it did. So I ended up living with this girl and my other homies for over a year. Now, fortunately, at one point, I did get mentally healthy and it was cool. But before that, it was horrible, dude. I was lonely as fuck. And on the other side of the house, was an attractive single girl that was into me a month ago. During those lonely nights, dude, that kind of eats at you. That really does. When you wake up with a wood and there is a single girl literally down a hallway, a single girl down the hallway from you, but she don't want none of your problems, and that really messes with you, especially as a virgin. Dude, look, Shawty was into me and asking about me a month ago. Now she lives with me, and I'm just the nice guy a couple doors down, and what made this worse was Tally at the time was openly DTF, right? And if you don't know what that means, down to fuck, all right? But so I'm a lonely virgin living with a girl that I was attracted to, and then watched her go through 3 different sexual relationships while she refused to have one with me or even acknowledge me in any way, shape, or form. Now, at the time, I had a series similar to these story times that I called Subconsciousness, which was just me turning on my mic and just talking about whatever was on my head at the point in time. And in one of these, I said, and I quote, "I want to fuck my roommate," right? End quote. And explain how it felt living, 15 feet away from a single lady that walks around in panties and spandex that you found attractive, right? And this wasn't, bad in any way, shape, or form. I was just making fun of my situation to try to make it easier to live with. Well, P and my other roommates watched this video and immediately showed Tally, and she was basically like, "That's hilarious," and she didn't take it serious, which is cool. It's like the nicest way to politely decline. But P and my other homie, God rest his soul, took it a step further, and they made it a mission to get me laid by her, and they would joke around and bring it up all the time and mess with her about doing it. And she never did and whatnot. But this made the situation a lot worse, because when the girl doesn't know you're into her and she ignores you, right, it's okay, because I was not going to make any advances, and I never did, because there was no point, nor did I want to. I was just avoiding women at this point in time. Well, not fully, but I avoided her because, like, come on now. oh, it's like I already tried that, there's no point, and it just be awkward. It just be really awkward. But anyways, I never tried to make that shot. But when they told her and she was like, yeah, no, I basically just got third party blatantly rejected, which was the last thing I needed. So like FML. So there was that. I was getting sexually rejected in my head every day. And also every other night, I'm like, damn, how did this happen? How do these girls go from so hot for me one day and then the next just a stranger? That phenomenon, I'm telling you, is probably driving a bunch of dudes right now as I'm making this video insane. They had somebody that was head over heels for them for a couple of days, and then wham, it's just like nothing. Oh my goodness, that does, I wouldn't put my worst enemy through it. That's a fucked up situation right there. So Tally at this point was dating, you know, at a pretty freaking rate. And when you're lonely and unstable, when you watch a girl you used to talk, I guess you could say talk to, I mean, it was like 2 attempts, but you know, when you watch a girl talk about needing a man and going through these guys and having sexual relationships basically right in front of your eyes, and your love life is a desert, like dead ass. I had no shawties. I was literally talking to one girl that lived in Massachusetts, but that is nothing. Like, she's literally on the opposite side of the eastern seaboard for me. Like, they're come on. And Tally is going through her guys trying to find somebody, and my boy P, who is in the room right next to me, he started going through shorties. And look, it took me, I was on Tinder Meetme And Skout for 3 years at this point. Never met up with a girl. P had Tinder for a month and then lost his virginity to a cheerleader, dead ass. And I was proud of my homie, but I was like, what is wrong with me? Like, why can't I pull shorties? What the hell? And P is picky about his shorties. I'm really not. Like, I'm not. So yeah, that was a mess for me, and it's like you could tell, bro. It was really fucked up. And this is pretty much how it was for the first few months living with her. I mean, eventually it stopped bothering me. Like, it is what it is. I put out of sight, out of mind into full effect. If I woke up early and she was in the kitchen basically with her ass out, which she did all the time because everybody else in that house woke up late, but I woke up early a lot, I just go back in my room, play video games, like, until I heard her, she was out of the kitchen. If I was in the hallway going to the kitchen or something, going to the bathroom, and she came around the corner, I just looked straight at the wall. I wouldn't even like look at her. You say our highs and whatnot, your good mornings, but I'm not even looking at her. So forth and so on, you know what I'm saying? I eventually got over it. Now, of course, there were those nights where you're just at rock bottom and, you know, you want her to come through, this, that, and the third. Besides that, you know, I was still depressed, but I was chilling. I was really chilling. And you know what? With that fact, I'm going to have Depressed But I'm Lit by Cold Heart as the background music for this video. So this was the third shawty that led me to just quitting dating apps and just doing a complete 180. Like, I literally just purged myself from talking to girls for a couple months. Like, this was the third. If you want to hear the first, it will be in the end cards because it's not a part of this playlist. It was a part of that subconsciousness series I did. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this one. I mean, this cycle right here didn't really end. It was kind of off and on until I started dating my current girlfriend at the time. So yeah, this was literally over a year of just, yeah, that was kind of fucked. But hey, I mean, I'm chilling now. If you're going through a situation like this where you're forced to be around somebody that rejected you, you can still put them out of sight, out of mind, you know, just focus on other things. I started my YouTube grind, which really helped me because I had something else to focus on besides shawties and this, that, and the third. But like, if you're going through something like this, like, don't think like you're the only one going through it. Just know that like time does help these situations, you know what I'm saying? Like, it does get better after all. But if you do have a story similar to this, drop it in the comments or send it to my Instagram. You can tell me if you want to remain anonymous or whatnot. If you do want to shout out, just tag whatever you want me to shout out in the story. Send me those stories. I want to make a subscriber story video. It would be beyond lit to hear y'all stories. And if you want, I can also give you advice on your stories because, you know, as you're watching this video, you know, I went through it too, and I can tell you how I got over it. But yeah, with that being said, until we meet in the comments, and we know, man, because we know we up next. Sponsored by Atari. And